The film begins with showing the main character, John. He is having a discussion with his psychiatrist regarding his mental condition. From their conversation, we can find out that John was a Special Forces officer, and now he is retired and spends a lot of time alone. His psychiatrist then suggests that he visit his daughter as well as his granddaughter, because it is good for John's mental health. Hearing that, John can only be silent because he hasn't been home to meet his daughter for a very long time. Arriving home, John packed up his things to prepare to get ready to fly to the UK to meet his family. Then the scene moves showing John's daughter, Jane. She lives a simple life with her only child. Jane works as a cleaning service at a company, while her child goes to school near the flat where she lives. Every day, Jane is very busy. She has to pick up her daughter after she finishes work. But Jane went through it all gracefully, because she knew that one day, her life would get better. At the same time, there's a gangster named Sam Eady, who is going to a drug dealer to ask where to order these illicit goods. Because that person should have become a regular customer of Sam Eady's gang. Back to John. He had arrived in the UK to meet his family. But before that, he called his old friend who is now a colonel. His name is Neil. They also made an appointment to meet soon. John then rushed to visit his wife's grave and promised that he will always protect their daughter. On the other hand, Sam Eady and his gang are still looking for the drug dealer, who is their rival. After finding the drug dealer, Sam Eady immediately finishes him off, so he stops disturbing his market. Coincidentally, John sees Sam Eady and his gang. Some of Sam Eady's men managed to follow John, who fled, but they did not know that John was actually a former soldier and he experienced executing everyone he faced. Knowing John had escaped and killed his men, Sam Eady promised revenge to John. Arriving at Jane's flat, John was greeted with a warm hug by his daughter because she had not seen him for a long time. John also promised that he would never leave Jane alone again. The next day, John took his granddaughter to go to school. After that, John bought some vegetables to cook at home. Unfortunately, John didn't realize that several gangsters were following him from behind when he wanted to go inside the flat. After knowing where John lived, the gangster reported it to Sam Eady, who was already waiting. Sam Eady paid for them all with drugs, which they then enjoyed together. When they're having lunch together, John said that he will be away for a few days on duty. Hearing that, Jane looked sad. Meanwhile, John gave a pendant to his granddaughter, so she could always remember John and her late grandmother. Jane, who was worried that she would be left behind again, asked John to promise that he would be safe for the sake of his family. After monitoring John, who had left the place, Sam Eady decided to destroy John's life by torturing his family. Sam Eady and his gang could enter the flat easily. They tortured and abused Jane. After that, Sam Eady entered Jane's daughter's room and did something heinous. What's worse, they also recorded all the brutal acts to John's family. At that time, Sam Eady knew that John was not just an ordinary man. He saw a photo of John wearing a special army uniform. One night, suddenly, Colonel Neil visited John and took him somewhere. And now, John knows everything that has happened. John's sadness didn't stop there. Colonel Neil then took him to see his late granddaughter. After that, John asked Jane who had dared to touch them. Then, Jane said that the culprit was the gangster who ruled their flat. Without thinking twice, John rushed to settle the grudge that was increasingly taking over him. On the other hand, Sam Eady knew that his existence was starting to be threatened. So, he asked one of his men to become a substitute to take care of the flat area, because he wanted to go for a while. John went to Jane's flat to check the crime scene, which had been investigated by the police. There, he found a policeman who just stood and did nothing. John did not get any information from the police. Fortunately, after came out of the flat, John met with Sam Eady's man. At that time, John asked about Sam Eady's base camp. Because he was overcome by fear, Sam Eady's man easily uncovered their hiding place in a nightclub. Now, John is at Sam Eady's base camp. There, John met with Cooper, Sam Eady's boss as well as the biggest drug dealer in the area. Knowing that the person who came was a very dangerous murderer, Cooper ordered his men to ambush John. Realizing that John is a dangerous man, Cooper begs him not to be finished. Cooper admitted that he had never ordered Sam Eady to disturb John's family. However, John did show no mercy to people who have hurt his family.
Yes, you did.
Shortly after the incident, the police came to the club to see the massacre committed by John. The head of police named Bambi contacted Colonel Neil to find out more about John. Colonel Neil said that John was a killing machine, which was so dangerous that he didn't even believe that the police would be able to handle him. On the other hand, Sam Eady got a call from Cooper's phone, which was already in John's hand. John warns Sam Eady that danger will come to him soon. But Sam Eady was not at all afraid of the bluff. Sam Eady then went to meet an assassin named Panker and invite him to work together to create a new business. Panker refused Sam Eady's offer because he knew Sam Eady was being hunted by a very dangerous killer. Sam Eady turned out to be very smart and cunning. He knows that John will track him through the GPS on his phone. So, he placed his phone at Panker's place so that John would come there. Before Sam Eady left Panker's place, he also ordered some of his men to keep an eye on the area. And sure enough, while Sam Eady was leaving Panker's place, John came to bombard the people there because he thought that Sam Eady was there too. It turned out that Panker had been waiting for John's arrival. But John didn't want to say much and didn't want to be compromised. Realizing that Panker was already in front of the shot, John immediately executed him, according to the title of this film. After carrying out the massacre, John met one of Sam Eady's men who was asked to watch over the place. Before the man fled, John caught and locked him in a warehouse to be interrogated. There, the man told everything that he knew about Sam Eady's plan. It turns out, Sam Eady is planning to betray his boss to create his own drug business. Therefore, he wants to finish off John, who accidentally saw his action, so that he doesn't leave any traces when carrying out his new plan. Then, Sam Eady has now met with his new distributor from Russia. They discuss about some goods that will come through the ship. Without him knowing, John secretly comes to finish his action. Just in case, John calls the police so they can catch Sam Eady. John took Sam Eady's man, which he held captive, and threw him in front of Sam Eady as an opening from the terror that John would give. Knowing that John had come to take his life, Sam Eady rushed to run away while being protected by many of his men. But John could easily finish them off, which prevented him from killing Sam Eady. The police came to help John to catch Sam Eady, but John chose one-on-one with the person who had hurt his family. At that time, Sam Eady also revealed that if he apparently took the pendant that John gave to his granddaughter as a collection to always remember the feeling of satisfaction he felt after killing a child. After killing Sam Eady, John also surrendered himself to be arrested by Bambi. Colonel Neil came to say goodbye to John, who turned out to be secretly giving John the key to escape from the police handcuffs. The film closes by showing Jane's condition, who is happy to hear her father's voice over the phone. She knows that John has succeeded in getting their revenge on Sam Eady. After asking how his daughter is, John hangs up the phone and he finally disappears.